Raindrops kissed her skin. While he stood at a distance, unable to look away from her enchanting presence, the painter and the melody. The first raindrop fell like a hesitant note against the weathered boardwalk of Aerith. Noah Coleman tucked his sketchbook under his jacket, cursing his luck as the late summer shower began to intensify. Most of the tourists scattered, rushing for cover under colorful awnings along the seaside shops. But Noah remained, drawn to the shifting patterns of light on the water. That's when he heard it, a single perfect note cutting through the rainfall. The sound came from a slender woman standing at the edge of the boardwalk, seemingly unbothered by the weather. A violin rested against her shoulder. Her eyes closed as her bow danced across the strings. The rain kissed her brown skin, sliding down her face like tears, yet her expression remained serene, almost transcendent. Noah stood transfixed. Without thinking, he reopened his sketchbook, ignoring the raindrops that splattered across the page. His charcoal moved with urgent purpose, capturing the curve of her neck, the graceful arc of her arm, the way her sundress clung to her form. The melody she played was unfamiliar, something haunting and beautiful that seemed to speak directly to the storm. People walking past slowed their hurried pace, many stopping to listen despite the downpour. A small crowd gathered, mesmerized by the impromptu performance. Noah moved closer, finding shelter beneath a nearby oak tree. From this vantage point, he could see her face more clearly. High cheekbones, full lips, and eyes that eventually opened to reveal a warm, deep brown. She played without sheet music, the melody seemingly flowing from some well of emotion within her. When she finally lowered her bow, the small crowd erupted in applause. She smiled, giving a slight bow before collecting the scattered bills from her open violin case. Noah remained beneath the tree, frantically completing his sketch before she disappeared. "Do you always draw strangers without permission?" Her voice startled him. She stood just a few feet away, violin case in hand, raindrops glistening in her dark curls. "I'm sorry," Noah stammered, instinctively moving to close his sketchbook. "May I see it?" She stepped closer, extending her hand. Her nails were painted a deep purple, matching the small amethyst pendant at her throat. Reluctantly, Noah handed over the rain-speckled drawing. Her expression remained neutral as she studied his work, fingers tracing the lines he'd drawn. "You've captured something," she said finally. "Not just what I look like, but something else." She handed back the sketchbook. "I'm Lyra Desai." "Noah Coleman," he replied, suddenly aware of how soaked they both were. "Your playing isn't extraordinary." She smiled, rain streaming down her face. "This town has a certain magic to it, don't you think? Something in the air that makes music sound better, art look richer." Thunder rumbled in the distance. "I should go. Perhaps we'll meet again." "Noah Coleman." Before he could respond, she turned and walked away, her figure gradually disappearing through the silver curtain of rain. Crossing paths. 3 days passed before Noah saw her again. The Seaside Brew, where he worked 4 mornings a week to supplement his meager art sales, was unusually busy due to another sudden downpour. Noah balanced a tray of empty mugs when the door chimed and she entered, shaking raindrops from an umbrella. Lyra wore a simple blue dress today, her violin case strapped across her back. Her eyes met his across the crowded cafe and recognition flashed between them. Noah nearly dropped his tray. "The artist becomes a barista," she said when she reached the counter. Her voice carried a musical lilt even in ordinary conversation. "I'll have a chai latte, please." "On the house," Noah replied, ignoring his manager's raised eyebrow. "For the woman who plays violin in rainstorms." A smile tugged at her lips. "A fair trade for the man who draws strangers without permission." The cafe had no empty tables, so when Noah brought her drink, he hesitantly gestured to the small break room. "You can sit back there if you'd like. It's not fancy, but it's quiet." To his surprise, she followed him. The cramped room held only a worn sofa and a small table cluttered with employees' belongings. Noah hastily cleared a space. "I looked you up," Lyra said, warming her hands around the mug. "Your gallery downtown has some beautiful work." Noah felt his cheeks warm. The gallery was merely a corner in a local bookstore that allowed artists to display pieces for sale. "It's nothing special." "I disagree." Her eyes met his directly. "Your landscapes capture something most artists miss, the feeling of a place, not just its appearance." They talked for nearly an hour, Noah returning occasionally to help with the cafe rush. He learned she was a classical violinist on sabbatical from the National Symphony, staying in Erith for the summer to compose new music. She had come seeking inspiration, drawn by the town's reputation for artistic energy. "What about you?" she asked. "Why stay in a tourist town when you could sell your work in the city?" Noah stared into his coffee. "Erith is home. After my mother died, this place became all I had." He hadn't meant to reveal something so personal, but Lyra's attentive gaze invited honesty. "I understand attachment to place," she nodded. "My violin was my father's. When he passed, his music became my anchor." When Noah's break ended, Lyra gathered her things to leave. At the door, she turned back. "There's a small concert at Harborview Hall tomorrow night. Nothing formal, just local musicians experimenting. I'm playing a new piece." She slipped a small purple ticket into his hand. "Come if you want. Bring your sketchbook." Their fingers touched briefly, and Noah felt a current pass between them, subtle as the electricity preceding a summer storm. "I'll be there," he promised, watching as she stepped back into the rain, which now seemed more like a blessing than an inconvenience. Midnight Symphony Harborview Hall was transformed. Fairy lights hung from exposed rafters and candles flickered in hurricane glasses along the walls. The small venue, usually reserved for community meetings, had become an intimate sanctuary for music. Noah arrived early, claiming a seat near the back where he could observe without being noticed. The audience was an eclectic mix: elderly couples in formal wear, young artists with colorful hair, tourists who had stumbled upon something unexpected. Noah opened his sketchbook, already capturing the scene in quick strokes. When Lyra walked onto the small stage, the room hushed. She wore a long dress of deep purple silk that caught the light as she moved. Her violin rested against her shoulder with the familiarity of an old friend. "This piece is new," she said softly into the microphone. "It's called Rain-Sketched Memory. It's about unexpected encounters." Her eyes found Noah's in the crowd, and he felt seen in a way that was both thrilling and terrifying. The first notes rose like questions in the air, tentative, searching. Then the melody bloomed into something complex and beautiful. Noah's hand moved across his page without conscious thought, drawing not just Lyra but the feeling her music evoked, the sensation of falling into something inevitable. After the performance, Noah waited outside, uncertain if she would want to see him. The night air was warm, stars visible between scattered clouds. "You came." Lyra's voice behind him made his heart leap. She had changed into jeans and a simple top, her violin case in hand. "Your music was incredible," Noah said. "I've never heard anything like it." She smiled, a hint of vulnerability in her expression. "Walk with me. I'm too restless to sleep after performing." They wandered through empty streets, past shuttered shops and moonlit gardens. Lyra spoke of growing up in a family where music was a language more fluent than words, of conservatory training that nearly extinguished her love for playing, of finding her voice again through composition. Noah shared how painting had saved him after his mother's death, how capturing beauty on canvas made it seem less fleeting. They found themselves at the boardwalk where they'd first met, now deserted under a star-filled sky. "May I?" Lyra asked, reaching for his hand. Her touch was warm as she led him to the edge of the pier. The ocean stretched before them, reflecting starlight. Noah turned to face her, suddenly aware of their proximity. "Lyra, She rose on her toes and pressed her lips to his, silencing whatever he might have said. The kiss was gentle at first, then deepened with a hunger that matched the intensity of her music. Noah's hands found her waist, drawing her closer as the sound of waves provided rhythm to their embrace. When they finally separated, both breathless, Lyra smiled. "I've wanted to do that since I saw you drawing in the rain." Noah traced the curve of her cheek with his finger, marveling at this unexpected turn in his ordinarily quiet life. "Stay with me tonight," he whispered. Just to talk, to be together." Lyra's eyes, reflecting starlight, held his gaze. "Yes," she said simply, interlacing her fingers with his as they turned toward his small apartment near the shore, the night opening before them like a canvas awaiting color. Storm clouds, the weeks that followed, were like a dream, filled with music and color and the gentle rhythm of two artists finding harmony together. Noah's small apartment gradually became their shared space, her sheet music scattered among his paintbrushes, her violin case resting beside his easel. In the mornings, Noah painted while Lyra practiced, their creative energies feeding each other. "You've changed my paintings," Noah told her one evening as they sat on his balcony watching lightning flicker over distant waters. "There's something different in them now." Lyra leaned against his shoulder, her finger tracing patterns on his arm. "And you've changed my compositions, listen." She hummed a melody, one he recognized from her recent practice sessions. "This part here, this is you." This rising phrase that never resolves the same way twice. They laughed, kissed, and fell into a comfortable silence until Lyra spoke again, her voice suddenly hesitant. "Noah, there's something I need to tell you." The seriousness in her tone made him tense. "What is it?" She sat up straighter, creating space between them. "I received a call today from my former conductor in Vienna. There's an opening in the orchestra and they want me to audition." "Vienna? As in Austria?" Noah felt a cold weight settling in his stomach. "It's an incredible opportunity. The Vienna Philharmonic is—" She trailed off, seeing his expression. "It would only be for a season, maybe 2. When would you leave?" His voice sounded distant to his own ears. 2 weeks, if I accept." She reached for his hand, but he pulled away. 2 weeks? And you're just telling me now?" Noah stood, pacing the small balcony. "Were you even going to tell me or just disappear one day?" "That's not fair," Lyra's eyes flashed. "I'm telling you now because I've been struggling with the decision. Because what we have here, it matters to me." "Does it?" Noah couldn't stop the words, bitter as they were. "Or am I just another interesting composition? Something to explore before moving on to the next creative project?" Thunder rumbled closer now, and the first heavy raindrops began to fall, mimicking the tears that appeared in Lyra's eyes. "You know that's not true," she said, her voice breaking. "But music is my life, Noah. Just like painting is yours. Would you give up your art if I asked you to?" "I'm not asking you to give up music. I'm asking you not to give up on us so easily." The rain was falling harder now, soaking them both as they stood facing each other on the exposed balcony. "It's not easy for me," Lyra shouted over the storm. "None of this is easy." Noah turned away, gripping the railing, rain streaming down his face. "My father left when I was 10. My mother raised me alone until cancer took her 2 years ago. Everyone I've ever loved has left me." His voice dropped so low she had to strain to hear it. "I can't do this again." When he turned back, Lyra was already moving toward the door, gathering her things with shaking hands. "Where are you going?" he asked, suddenly afraid. "I need space to think," she said, not meeting his eyes. "And so do you." The door closed behind her with a soft click that somehow hurt more than a slam would have. Noah stood in the rain until his clothes were soaked through, feeling the fragile happiness he'd found washing away with each cold drop. After the rain. The gallery was crowded, far more people than Noah had expected for his first solo exhibition. Rainfall Sonatas, the collection was called. 20 paintings inspired by his summer with Lyra. Though he had not seen her in nearly 3 months, her presence filled every canvas. A woman with a violin silhouetted against storm clouds, hands moving across strings, rendered in shades of purple and blue, a boardwalk glistening with rain, empty save for scattered sheet music. "Your work has evolved tremendously," the gallery owner told him, champagne flute in hand. "There's such emotional depth here. The New York gallery I mentioned is very interested in showing these pieces next spring." Noah nodded, accepting congratulations from strangers who saw his pain as artistic growth. He had not heard from Lyra since that rainy night. Her social media showed glimpses of Vienna, ancient buildings, concert halls, new musical colleagues. She seemed happy, radiant in her success. He had forced himself to stop looking. The crowd parted momentarily and Noah's heart stopped. There, standing before his largest painting, a woman playing violin in the rain, her face turned away but unmistakably Lyra, stood the subject herself. Her hair was shorter now, falling just above her shoulders, but she wore the same purple pendant at her throat. She hadn't seen him yet, her attention focused entirely on the painting. Noah moved toward her without conscious decision, pulled by some force stronger than pride or hurt or fear. He stopped a few feet away, suddenly unsure. "You captured something," she said without turning, echoing her words from their first meeting. "Not just what I look like, but something else." When she faced him, her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Hello, Noah. You're supposed to be in Vienna," he said stupidly. unable to process her presence. I am. She took a breath. I have a week before returning. I saw the announcement for your exhibition online. They moved to a quieter corner of the gallery, away from curious eyes. Noah noticed she held something in her hand, a CD case. I declined the permanent position, Lyra said quietly. I'm guest soloist for this season only. Noah's pulse quickened. Why? Because Vienna was beautiful but hollow without... She hesitated. Without someone to share it with. I recorded this there. She handed him the CD. The cover showed Lyra with her violin, and the title read Rain-Sketched Memory Suite for Violin and Heart. Every piece is about you, about us, she continued when he didn't speak. About rain and art and finding each other. I didn't think you'd come back, Noah admitted. I didn't think you'd want me to. Her fingers brushed his, tentative. I was afraid I'd hurt you too deeply. You did, he said honestly. But these months taught me something. Loving someone means supporting their dreams, even when they take them away from you. He gestured to the paintings surrounding them. All of this exists because of you, because of what we shared. Lyra's hand found his, their fingers intertwining like they'd never been apart. I have another audition next month, she said, with the San Francisco Symphony. It's only 3 hours from here. Rain began to fall outside, droplets tapping against the gallery's skylight. The sound made them both smile, a private joke between old friends. We have a week, Noah said, drawing her closer. And after that? After that, we have phones and planes and weekends, Lyra replied. We have music and paintings and all the time we need. As the exhibition continued around them, they stood together beneath the skylight, watching raindrops create ever-changing patterns on the glass above. Two artists who had found each other in a storm, learning that sometimes distance is just another form of connection, another note in the ongoing composition of love. Outside, the rain fell steadily, no longer separating them but binding them together in its gentle rhythm, washing away the past and nourishing whatever grew next.